The screen of my phone cut through the dark motel room like a knife at 2:17 a.m. The message from an unknown number hit me square in the chest. Harper. It's Gabrielle. Isabel's sister. Mom's in the ICU. They say she won't last the week. She keeps asking for you, please. My heart slammed so hard I tasted metal. 5 years of radio silence. Of deleting every trace of Portland from my life. And now this. I didn't pack. I just grabbed my keys and drove straight to the airport. Rain hammered the rental car windshield the whole flight delayed drive from PDX. The wipers squeaked in rhythm with my pulse. I hadn't seen Isabel since the night I walked out after our worst fight. The night she told me she could never come out to her family. I hadn't seen Gabrielle either. The quiet younger sister who always lingered in the background. With soft eyes and cups of coffee she never asked for credit on. Now I was speeding toward Legacy Emmanuel Hospital like the past was chasing me. The automatic doors whooshed open and the smell of antiseptic and old coffee punched me in the face. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in that sick yellow glow. Gabrielle stood by the nurse's station in wrinkled scrubs. Hair twisted up messily. Eyes red-rimmed. She looked up and froze. For a second neither of us moved. Then she crossed the distance in 3 quick steps and pulled me into a hug that smelled like rain and lavender shampoo. God. She whispered against my shoulder. Her voice cracked on my name the same way it used to when we were all younger and I'd crash at their house after late shifts. I felt her tremble once. Then pull back. And Mom's been in and out. She keeps saying your name like you never left. I followed her down the long corridor. Sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. Every step felt heavier. Isabel would be here soon. The thought made my stomach twist. Gabrielle pushed open the door to room 312 and the steady beep of the heart monitor filled the space. Their mom lay small under the thin blanket. Skin pale as paper. I sat in the plastic chair Gabrielle offered and tried not to remember all the Sunday dinners I'd once been part of. Hours blurred. Gabrielle and I took turns holding the frail hand, trading small talk that felt too loud in the quiet. She told me about finishing nursing school. About the apartment she kept near the hospital so she could be close. I told her about the last 5 years in scraps, bartending in LA. The therapy that finally stuck. The way I'd learned to breathe without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every time our eyes met too long, something electric flickered and died. Isabel arrived at dawn, storming in like she owned the room. Her hair was shorter, sharper. You, she said. Voice flat. The word landed like a slap. She hugged her mom first, then turned to me with arms crossed tight. Didn't think you'd have the nerve. Gabrielle stepped between us without thinking, her shoulder brushing mine. ISA. The tension crackled but Gabrielle's hand found my wrist under the blanket of the chair. A silent squeeze. Isabel's eyes narrowed at the contact. But she let it go. For now. The next 2 days became a slow dance of micro-moments. Gabrielle and I would slip out for coffee at 3 a.m. when the nurses changed shifts. The cafeteria smelled like burnt toast and despair. She'd slide a cup across the table and watch me like she was trying to read every missing year on my face. You look different, she said once. Voice low. Softer around the edges. I laughed. But it came out shaky. 5 years of running will do that. One night the rain outside turned to a downpour that rattled the windows. Mom's vitals dipped and the room filled with doctors. When they stabilized her again, Gabrielle and I ended up on a bench in the covered walkway. Shoulders touching for warmth. The cold seeped through my jacket. Her knee brushed mine and stayed. Neither of us moved it away. I used to watch you too, she said suddenly. Staring at the parking lot lights reflecting in puddles. Back then. On the moon. I was jealous. But not the way you think. She exhaled a shaky breath that fogged in the chill. I turned to her, rain dripping from the overhang onto my sleeve. What do you mean? She met my eyes. I was jealous because I wanted someone to look at me that way. And then you left and I realized I wanted it to be me. My throat closed. The confession hung between us like the rain. I didn't know what to say. Instead I reached out and tucked a loose strand of wet hair behind her ear. My fingers lingered on her cheek longer than they should have. She leaned into the touch, eyes fluttering shut for half a second. Later. Isabel was asleep in the recliner. Gabrielle and I sat on the floor against the wall. Knees drawn up. Had left. The heart monitor beeped steady now. Why did you really leave? Harper, she asked. Voice barely above a whisper. I stared at the ceiling tiles. Because I didn't trust anyone to stay. Not even myself. Especially not after Isabel said she'd never choose me over her family. I figured if I vanished first, it wouldn't hurt as much when it ended. Gabrielle's hand found mine under the blanket. Her fingers were warm, calloused from years of hospital work. She laced them through mine without asking. I don't blame you for leaving. But I hated the silence. I kept your old hoodie. You know. Wore it when things got bad. The words landed soft and heavy. I squeezed her hand back. Heart hammering louder than the monitor. The kiss happened 3 nights later. We'd stepped outside for air after another scare. The rain had eased to a drizzle that misted our faces. We stood under the overhang, steam rising from the asphalt. Gabrielle turned to me. Eyes shining with exhaustion and something fiercer. I'm not her. I'm not going to make you choose between loving me and disappearing again. Her voice cracked. But I need you to see me. Really see me. I did. I saw the way her lower lip trembled. The way the hospital lights painted gold across her cheekbones. I saw 5 years of quiet longing I'd been too blind to notice. My hand came up on its own, cupped the back of her neck. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath since I left. When our lips met, it wasn't fireworks, it was the slow, aching relief of coming home after running too long. Soft. Then deeper. I didn't know I was crying. We pulled apart when headlights swept across the lot. Isabel stood 20 feet away. Keys in hand. The silence stretched until it hurt. She didn't yell. She just said, Gabby? Then she turned and walked back inside. The fight came the next morning in the family lounge. Isabel paced while I stood by the window, arms crossed like armor. You vanish for 5 years. Show up when mom's dying. And now you're kissing my sister? Jesus. Gabrielle stepped in. Voice steady but eyes pleading. ISA. It just happened. While we were here. While we were scared. Isabel laughed. Bitter. While you were scared. Convenient. I felt the old panic rise. The urge to bolt. But Gabrielle's hand brushed my lower back, grounding me. I looked at Isabel and for the first time saw the hurt I'd caused her too. I'm sorry, I said. The words tasted like rust. For leaving the way I did. For not explaining. For a lot of things. She stopped pacing. Her shoulders sagged. I waited for you to come back. For 2 years. Then I stopped. That night Mom coded again. We all rushed in. When they got her back. The three of us sat together in silence for the first time in years. Gabrielle's head rested on my shoulder. Isabel didn't move away. Something fragile shifted in the air between us. 2 days later Mom passed peacefully at 4:12 a.m. The funeral was small. Rain-soaked. I stood at the graveside between the sisters, one hand in each of theirs. Gabrielle's grip was tight, Isabel's loose but present. Afterward we went back to the old house. The kitchen still smelled like the same lemon cleaner. Gabrielle made coffee the way I liked it, too much cream, no sugar. Isabel watched us from the doorway, expression unreadable. That evening Gabrielle and I sat on the back porch swing. The chain creaking softly. Fireflies blinked in the damp yard. I have a life in LA, I said quietly. A job. An apartment that doesn't feel like home. She nodded. Swinging us gently. And I have a shift tomorrow. And Mom's things to sort. And a sister who's hurting. She turned to me. Eyes steady. I'm not asking you to choose right now. But I'm asking you not to vanish again. Not from me. The words lodged in my chest. I thought about the woman I'd become in 5 years, the one who didn't trust easy. Who kept her bags half-packed. I thought about the way Gabrielle had looked at me in the rain. Like I was worth staying for. I don't trust anyone, I whispered. The old line slipping out raw. She smiled. I know. That's a start. Isabel found us later. She leaned against the railing. Arms crossed. This is weird as hell, she said. No heat. But Mom would have wanted you here. Both of you. She looked at her sister. Then at me. Harper. She's the best of us. Then she went inside, leaving the door open a crack. I stayed another week. We packed boxes. Cried over old photos. Laughed at stories that hurt less now. Gabrielle and I stole moments, quick kisses in the hallway. Fingers brushing while washing dishes. Late night talks. Where I told her about the panic attacks and she told me about the nights she'd cried wondering if I was okay. The love was slow. Built on hospital coffee and shared grief instead of fireworks. On the last night before my flight I stood at the airport curb with her. Rain misted the streetlights again. She wore my old gray hoodie. Sleeves too long. I'm not saying goodbye, she said. Voice thick. I'm saying text me when you land. And the week after. And the one after that. I pulled her close, breathing in lavender and rain. I'm scared, I admitted against her hair. She nodded. But we've done hard before. I got on the plane. The seatbelt light dinged and I stared out at the clouds. My phone buzzed. A single text from Gabrielle, a photo of the two of us at the hospital. Rain on the window behind us, my arm around her shoulders. Caption, still here. Still choosing this. When you're ready. I smiled for the first time in days. The kind that reaches your eyes. It wasn't perfect. Isabel still texted me cautious check-ins. I still had moments where the old urge to run clawed at my ribs. Gabrielle still carried the weight of being the sister who stayed. But we were building something real in the cracks of everything we'd lost. 5 years ago I vanished to protect myself. This time I'm choosing to stay, slowly. Messily. Late night call at a time. Love with her sister wasn't what I expected when that 2 a.m. message came. It was better. Harder. And for the first time in forever. I'm not looking for the exit. I'm looking forward to the next time it rains in Portland and the way her hand will feel in mine when I come back home.